So with some films, when you see trailers for them, you get to a point where you feel like I'm either going to really love or really hate this. Well, that's kind of where I was with this, and clearly I was not wrong. Hey everyone, this is the Movieman, fellow cinephile, popcorn addict, and emerging film critic, coming to you with reliable recaps, reviews, and reactions. And today I'm coming to you all with my out of the theater, in the theater thoughts, this time for Him. Co-written and directed by Justin Tipping and starring Marlon Wayans, Tyriq Withers, Julia Fox, and many more. Story-wise, the film is centered around Cameron Cade, a college football phenom whose promising future is soon shattered by a brutal attack. When he's invited to train under his idol, the legendary Isaiah White, Cade sees it as his shot at redemption. But what begins as a promising opportunity soon devolves into something far more sinister. And soon, Cade is forced to realize what the cost of becoming him is worth. So for starters, I should make something very clear. This film is not directed by Jordan Peele. I think the marketing has been pushing it, and I think people have thought that it is, but it's not. This is produced by his company, Monkey Paw Productions, but this is not a Jordan Peele film. Which I will say I'm kind of relieved about, because although I was not a fan of Nope, I was like, how do we go from Nope to this? Even with my issues with that, I was just like, what is going on? But this film is directed by Justin Tipping. This is his second feature film, and he's previously directed episodes of the series 20s, Joe vs. Carol, Run the World, and Flatbush Misdemeanors. And now, a word from our sponsor.
Movieman! What is this? You call this fuel? You call this fuel? You think you can win games on bland chicken? On lifeless popcorn? Listen up, son. Victories aren't built in the weight room. They're built in the kitchen. With flavor! And that means one thing. Spralt! That's it! That's the championship season right there! Put it on anything. Chicken, popcorn, fries, boom! Instant victory! That's the difference between losers and legends! Yes! Run it in, Movieman! Run it in! Wait! You forgot your helmet!
Spralt is officially backing the channel, but they've got your back too. Please feel free to use my official code, Movieman, of course, for 10% off your next order, so that you can also stay salty. In the good way.
Spralt! Season smart, victory starts here.
And with that being said, I will say that this film's strongest elements are, number one, its visuals, because the colors, the contrast, the lighting, this looked great. It was very distinctive, erratic, kind of disturbing, but also somewhat unique. And I did appreciate the visual flourish that this film had, and that was one of the things that kept me somewhat invested, even when I was struggling to continue on with the process. I will also say that the performances are pretty on point. Mainly the focus here is with our main two characters that are played by Marlon Wayans and Tyriq Withers, and I think they both do a pretty solid job. It requires them to do a whole lot, and they definitely are committed to the bit. One thing I will say about Marlon Wayans is that although, of course, I was introduced to him with the Wayans Brothers sitcom and the Scary Movie films, I think he really missed out on a potential career as a dramatic actor. If anyone has seen Requiem for a Dream, that kind of says it all. And if you haven't seen his performance in that, then it's something you need to see, although that film as a whole, you'll definitely regret watching it. But I can absolutely say that his performance was a standout there. And I just kind of wish he had just taken the opportunity, much like Jim Carrey and Robin Williams and other comedic actors or comedians that decided to take the dramatic route. I wish he had done that, but he didn't. But I will say that he and Tyriq did all the things that were required of them. And I will say that conceptually, I like the idea of what this could have been, and considering the sports industry as a whole, especially when it comes to football, I could really see the potential of telling a story like this, especially with the horror satire focus. Okay, as far as cons, what is this? What is this? What is this? What is this? Again, I am so glad that Jordan Peele is not the director, because I would have had to really question a whole lot of things, like what is going on. And, you know, I'm definitely here for up-and-coming directors, but it was kind of clear to me that there hasn't been a lot of experience, because something about this just did not come together correctly. I just felt like so much of it was histrionics and, you know, sweating, crying, screaming, panting, gasping, cursing. Like, it just was so much. But after a certain point, it was just kind of like white noise. It was just noise for the sake of noise. And it kind of got on my nerves. It was just like, okay, this is fine, but what is the point of all this? And I felt like story-wise, we never got there. We never really dug into the depth of what was going on. I never really understood Cameron as a character. I never fully understood Isaiah as a character. I understand what they were pointing towards as far as the industry, which I think is intriguing. I think when we think about, look, just Colin Kaepernick alone, and the hypocrisy and the double standards and the constant moving of the goalpost and things like that, yeah, that would be really interesting to explore. But this film just does something else, and so much of it feels like vibes. Just vibes and histrionics and distinctive visuals. But that's pretty much it. Everything else was just like, what is the point? Woo. By the time we got to the second to last sequence in the film, I had a headache, because the way that the camera was doing all this, I had a migraine. I was just like, whose decision was this? Absolutely not. Much like the American Society of Magical Negroes, this is once again failed satire masquerading as in-depth insight or clever insight, and it's just none of that. It's none of it, it's none of that. It's a movie with characters and visuals and all the things that make a movie without making it a good movie, an insightful movie, memorable movie. By the time we got to the end, I was just like, all right, this is pretty much what I expected. It just looked from the trailers like it was going to be a mess. Either it was going to be really brilliant or it was going to be a mess. And by, you know, the closer we got to the release date, I'm like, this is going to be a mess. I just feel like it's going to be a mess. It looks like a mess, and it was a mess. Just mess all around. So, yes. Maybe somebody will find some interest in it. I didn't, but, you know, somebody might. And since Justin Tipping co-wrote this with two other writers, I think somewhere along the line, this got lost in the sauce, and it was too many cooks in the kitchen, and none of those cooks knew how to season properly or put together a recipe in a way that would be satisfying. So for me, it's a no. It's what I thought, but I'm here at the theater. I did the thing. It's been a minute, so yeah. Hopefully Jordan Peele's next actual directorial effort will be better than this. And that's all, folks. Whew, so once again, this is D, Movieman, signing off, and I'll see you at the movies.